I can't buy that, baby. My voice came out softer than I wanted, but my son's eyes were still locked on the shiny red candy apples. Please, Mommy, just one? My chest tightened. I checked the money in my pocket again. $12. Rent was already late. Milk was almost gone. And the cheap noodles at home had to last 3 more days. I'm sorry, I whispered. My son didn't cry. That somehow hurt even more. He just nodded slowly, the way children do when they start understanding that life isn't fair. But his eyes stayed on the apples. Bright red. Shiny. Perfect. Like little pieces of happiness on wooden sticks. I pulled him closer. Come on, I said quietly. Let's go. Wait. The voice came from behind the wooden cart. Oh, come. I looked up. The candy apple vendor was staring at us. I hadn't really noticed him before. The market was always crowded. Loud music. People shouting. Neon lights flashing. But now that I looked at him, he seemed strangely quiet. Almost invisible. Like the world had learned to walk past him without noticing. Dark jacket. Simple clothes. Hands steady as he held one of the apple sticks. Your son wants one, he said. I forced a polite smile. I know. But we're just looking. He didn't react. Didn't push. Didn't give that pity look I hated. Instead, he leaned forward and held out the biggest apple on the cart. Right to my son. Here. I blinked. Oh, no, we can't. It's already made, he said calmly. My son looked at me. Not the apple. Me. Like he needed permission to hope. I swallowed. I really can't pay for it. That's okay. The words landed gently. Too gently. I hated charity. I hated the feeling that someone was rescuing me. I don't take free things, I said. The man studied my face for a moment. Not judging. Not pushing. Just looking. Then he turned the apple slightly and spoke to my son. What's your name? Daniel, my son said shyly. Well, Daniel, the man replied, I made 1 extra apple today. And if nobody eats it, I'll have to throw it away. Daniel's eyes widened. Really? Really? My son looked at me again. Hope, fear, excitement. All mixed together in those small eyes. I sighed slowly. Say thank you, I told him. Thank you. Daniel grabbed the apple like it was treasure. The man nodded once. No big smile. No dramatic kindness. Just quiet acceptance. Daniel took a huge bite. The crunch echoed between the market stalls. His face lit up instantly. Mommy, it's so good. I couldn't help it. I laughed softly. For the first time that day. Slow down, I said. He grinned with sticky red sugar on his lips. The vendor watched quietly. You're a good mother, he said. The words hit harder than they should have. I stiffened. You don't know anything about me. I know you said no first, he replied calmly. Silence stretched between us. The market noise filled the gap. People laughing. Vendors shouting prices. Music pounding somewhere down the street. I folded my arms. What's your name? Lucas. Simple. No last name. Just Lucas. Well, thank you, Lucas. He shrugged slightly. It's just an apple. But it wasn't. Not really. Daniel finished half of it already. Red syrup stuck to his fingers. He looked happier than I'd seen him all week. How long have you worked here? I asked. A while. Do you own the stall? Yes. Short answers. Careful answers. Like someone used to saying only what was necessary. You must make a lot of apples, I said. Some nights. And some nights. Not many. His tone stayed calm. Neutral. I nodded. I understand that. He glanced at me again. Something thoughtful passed through his eyes. You come to this market often? Sometimes. Single mother? The question made my stomach tighten. Yes. Another pause. Where's Daniel's father? He asked. The words slipped out before he could stop them. I could see it in his expression. But the damage was done. My smile disappeared. Gone. Lucas looked genuinely uncomfortable. I'm sorry. I shouldn't. He left, I said flatly. 3 words. That was the whole story. Lucas nodded slowly. I see. I hated that phrase. Nobody ever really saw. But I didn't argue. Daniel tugged my sleeve. Mommy, can we come back tomorrow? I hesitated. Maybe. Lucas wiped his hands with a towel. You're welcome anytime. Even if we don't buy anything? I asked. Yes. Why? He met my eyes. Because Daniel likes the apples. Simple answer. Too simple. People usually want something, I said quietly. Lucas tilted his head slightly. And what do you think I want? I opened my mouth, then stopped. I didn't know. That alone made me uneasy. Daniel finished the apple and held up the wooden stick proudly. All gone. Lucas nodded. You did a good job. My son beamed. Mommy, he's nice. Kids were honest like that. I sighed again. Come on, Daniel. We should go. He waved at Lucas. Bye. Goodbye, Daniel. I turned to leave, but something made me stop. I looked back at the stall. The red apples glowed under the market lights. Lucas was already preparing another batch, dipping fresh apples into hot sugar. Careful, precise, focused, like someone who took even small things seriously. You work alone? I asked. Yes. That's a lot of work. I don't mind. I hesitated. Then I said something I didn't expect. Life used to feel easier. Lucas didn't respond immediately. Then he asked quietly, what changed? I almost laughed, but the sound came out bitter. People. Lucas nodded once. I understand that. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. But he didn't pretend to fix it. That felt different. Good night, Lucas. Good night. I walked away with Daniel. The market lights faded behind us. Daniel squeezed my hand. Mommy? Yes. Can we see the Apple Man again? I stared ahead. I had promised myself something after Daniel's father left. No more trusting strangers. No more believing kindness was real. No more letting anyone close enough to hurt me again. But the image of Lucas handing that apple to my son stayed in my mind. Quiet. Gentle. No expectations. Just kindness. I don't know, I whispered. But that night after Daniel fell asleep, I kept thinking about the man with the red apples. And the strange feeling that maybe, just maybe, he wasn't as ordinary as he looked. I told myself I wouldn't come back. But 3 nights later, I was standing in front of the candy apple cart again. Daniel squeezed my hand. Mommy, look. The red apples were lined up like little glass hearts under the market lights. Lucas stood behind the cart, dipping another apple into the hot sugar. He looked up. Our eyes met. No surprise. Just a quiet nod. Good evening. My chest tightened. Hi. Daniel ran straight to the cart. Apple Man. Lucas's mouth curved slightly. Hello, Daniel. I crossed my arms. We're not buying anything tonight. I didn't ask you to. Daniel leaned on the cart. Did you make more? Yes. Are they good? Lucas tilted the tray toward him. Try asking your mother. Daniel looked at me with hopeful eyes. I sighed. 1 apple. His face lit up. Lucas handed it over. This time I placed $3 on the counter. Lucas glanced at the money. You don't have to. I know. Silence stretched between us. He pushed the money back toward me. You already paid. For what? For trusting me enough to come back. My fingers froze. That's not why I came. Then why? I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. Daniel bit into the apple. Crunch. Sweet syrup dripped down his fingers. Lucas handed him a napkin without saying a word. I watched the small gesture. He noticed everything. Small things. Details. Why are you nice to us? I asked suddenly. Lucas raised an eyebrow. Should I be rude instead? You know what I mean. He wiped sugar from the metal tray. Kindness isn't a business strategy. Most people treat it like one. Most people are tired. So are you. Yes. That answer caught me off guard. I studied him carefully. You work every night? Almost. Why? He shrugged. I like simple work. Making candy apples is simple? Yes. You could probably do something easier. Maybe. His answers were always short. But not cold. Just careful. Daniel tugged my sleeve. Mommy, look. His toy car had fallen apart in his hand. The small plastic wheel rolled under the cart. Oh no, he whispered. I bent down. But Lucas was faster. He crouched and picked up the wheel. Let me see. Daniel handed him the toy. Lucas turned it over slowly, examining it like a mechanic. You fix toys too? I asked. Sometimes. He pulled a small screwdriver from the drawer under the cart. Within seconds he tightened the tiny screw. The wheel snapped back into place. Daniel gasped. You fixed it? Lucas handed it back. Try now. The car rolled perfectly across the cart. Daniel laughed loudly. My chest warmed. Thank you, I said quietly. Lucas shrugged. It wasn't broken badly. Still. He leaned back against the cart. You look tired tonight. I stiffened. Single mothers usually are. You didn't sleep? Daniel interrupted. I had a nightmare. Lucas glanced at him. About what? Monsters. Lucas nodded slowly. Monsters are loud. Daniel blinked. Really? Yes. Why? Because quiet things are usually the dangerous ones. Daniel thought about that seriously. Mommy says people can be monsters. I froze. Lucas didn't react. He just asked softly, do you believe that? Daniel shrugged. Sometimes. Lucas nodded. That sounds accurate. I studied him again. You talk like someone who's been around monsters. Lucas didn't answer. Instead he looked past me, toward the crowd. For a moment his expression changed. Sure. Alert. Then it disappeared. What? I asked. Nothing. You just looked at something. Just watching the market. I followed his gaze. People moving. Couples laughing. Tourists taking pictures. Nothing unusual. But something about Lucas's silence bothered me. You're strange, I said. I've heard that before. From who? People who expect louder answers. Daniel tugged my sleeve again. Mommy, can we stay a little? I checked the time. We should go home soon. Lucas grabbed 2 small stools from under the cart. Sit for a minute. I don't want to bother you. You're not. I hesitated. Then sat. Daniel sat beside me. Lucas prepared another batch of apples. Hot sugar bubbled in the pot. The smell filled the air. You're good with kids, I said. They're honest. You like honesty? Yes. Then let me ask you something honest. Lucas glanced up. Go ahead. Why don't you ask questions? About what? About me. You would answer? Maybe. Lucas dipped another apple slowly. I prefer when people speak first. Why? Because truth arrives faster that way. Daniel interrupted again. Mommy talks a lot when she's tired. I groaned. Daniel. Lucas smiled faintly. That's useful information. I shook my head. You see what I deal with? Lucas looked at Daniel. You're protecting your mother. Daniel nodded proudly. Yes. Lucas spoke softly. That's a big job. Daniel puffed his chest. I'm strong. I can see that. Silence settled for a moment. Then I said the thing that had been sitting in my chest all week. I don't trust people easily. Lucas didn't look surprised. That's reasonable. My ex-husband promised me everything. Lucas kept dipping apples. He left when Daniel was 2. Lucas paused briefly. Then continued working. I'm sorry. Don't be. That kind of betrayal stays. Yes. I studied his face. You didn't even ask his name. It doesn't matter. Why not? Because the damage matters more than the person who caused it. His answer stunned me. Who hurt you? Lucas wiped his hands. That's not tonight's conversation. Why? Because you're not ready to hear it. I narrowed my eyes. That sounds dramatic. Maybe. Daniel suddenly pointed across the market. Mommy, that lady keeps looking here. I turned. A tall woman stood near the jewelry stalls. Elegant coat. Cold expression. Her eyes were locked on Lucas. Not me. Lucas noticed my gaze. His jaw tightened slightly. Do you know her? I asked. No. But the answer came too quickly. She's been watching us, I said. Lucas stayed silent. Daniel whispered. She looks angry. Lucas finally spoke. Daniel, stay close to your mother tonight. My heart skipped. Why? Lucas looked back toward the woman. Then at me. His voice dropped. Because some people don't like what they can't control. The woman turned and disappeared into the crowd. Lucas's expression didn't relax. I stood up slowly. Lucas, who was that? He didn't answer immediately. Just stared at the place where she had been. Then he said quietly, that's someone who should not be interested in a candy apple vendor. My stomach tightened. What does that mean? Lucas looked at me. For the first time, something serious burned behind his calm eyes. It means, he said slowly, you might want to stop coming here. Silence. Daniel clutched my hand. I stared at Lucas. Then I said the one thing I didn't expect to say. No. Stay away from him. The voice came from behind me. Cold. Sure. Like a knife sliding across glass. I turned slowly. The woman from the market stood only a few steps away. Up close, she looked even more intimidating. Elegant coat. Perfect posture. Eyes that studied me like I was something unpleasant stuck to her shoe. Daniel squeezed my hand. Mommy? I stepped slightly in front of him. Yes. Her gaze moved down to my worn shoes, then to my old jacket, then to Daniel. Disapproval flashed across her face. You shouldn't bring a child here, she said. I frowned. This is a public market. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? She ignored the question. Her eyes shifted past me, straight to the candy apple cart. Lucas. He had frozen behind the stall. The quiet calm he always carried suddenly looked strained. The woman spoke again. Lucas. My stomach tightened. That was the first time I had heard anyone say his name besides me and Daniel. Lucas didn't smile. What are you doing here? Her tone carried authority. Not curiosity. Authority. I could ask you the same thing, he replied quietly. She crossed her arms. This is beneath you. I blinked. Excuse me? She finally looked back at me. You. The word felt like an insult. Yes. I said slowly. Her eyes narrowed. How long has this been happening? Happening? She gestured toward Lucas. This situation. I almost laughed. Buying candy apples? Lucas spoke calmly. That's enough. But the woman ignored him. You don't belong near him, she said to me. Daniel stepped closer to my leg. My chest tightened. I think you're confused. No, she said flatly. You are. Lucas leaned forward slightly. Stop. Her eyes flashed. Look at this place. Her hand waved toward the crowded market. Noise. Dirt. Strangers. She turned back to Lucas. You really think this is sustainable? Lucas's voice dropped. Leave. She smiled faintly. Not kindly. You know I can't. I looked between them. What exactly is going on? The woman turned toward me again. Her gaze softened slightly. But not with kindness. With pity. That's the problem, she said quietly. You have no idea. Then explain. Lucas's voice came sharper this time. Don't. But the woman stepped closer to me. Close enough that I could smell expensive perfume. You're a single mother, she said calmly. My jaw tightened. Yes. You struggle to survive. That's none of your business. But it is. Why? Her lips pressed together. Then she said something that made my stomach twist. Because you're standing beside a man who can destroy your life. Silence crashed between us. Daniel squeezed my hand harder. Lucas's voice turned icy. That's enough. The woman didn't look at him. Her eyes stayed on me. You think he's a harmless street vendor. That's what he is. Is it? I looked at Lucas. His expression had gone completely unreadable. What is she talking about? I asked. Lucas didn't answer immediately. The pause felt heavy. Too heavy. Lucas. I pressed. He finally said quietly. You should go home. The words stung. That's not an answer. The woman smiled again. There it is. What? The silence. I crossed my arms. You're clearly trying to scare me. I'm trying to warn you. About what? About him. Lucas slammed the metal tray down. The sound cut through the market noise. Enough. People nearby turned to look. The woman lowered her voice. Look at you, she said to me softly. Tired eyes. Cheap coat. A child depending on you. I felt anger rising. Careful. You're desperate for kindness. That's not true. Isn't it? My heart pounded. Her words felt too close to the truth. You don't know me. I know women like you. And what does that mean? She leaned closer. It means you're easy to fool. My hand tightened around Daniel's. Lucas stepped forward. That's the last time you insult her. The woman turned to him slowly. Something complicated flashed across her face. Interesting. What is? You're defending her. Lucas didn't respond. She laughed quietly. After everything? My chest tightened. After everything what? Lucas's jaw tightened. Stop. But she continued. You don't even realize what game you're playing, she said to me. I'm not playing any game. You are. How? By trusting him. I felt my patience snap. I don't trust anyone. Good. Her voice softened again. Then listen carefully. The market noise seemed to fade around us. Her words came slowly. He is not the man you think he is. Lucas spoke through clenched teeth. You're leaving now. Or what? Or I call security. She laughed again. You don't control that anymore. Silence. That sentence felt loaded. Lucas didn't argue. He just stared at her. My stomach twisted. What does that mean? I asked. Neither of them answered. Daniel tugged my sleeve. Mommy? I don't like her. I didn't either. Let's go, I said quietly. But the woman grabbed my wrist lightly. Not painful, but firm. Listen to me. I pulled my hand back. Don't touch me. Her voice dropped to a whisper. If you keep coming here, you will get hurt. Lucas's voice turned dangerously calm. Leave. She finally stepped back. But before turning away she said one more thing. Quiet. Cold. You deserve to know what kind of man you're standing next to. I held her gaze. And you deserve to mind your own business. Her eyes flashed. Soon, she said softly, you'll realize this was my business all along. She walked away, disappearing into the crowd. The market noise returned slowly. Daniel clung to me. Lucas stared at the ground. I crossed my arms. Well? He didn't look up. Well, what? Explain. There's nothing to explain. She knew your name. That's not illegal. She spoke like she owns you. Lucas finally looked up. His eyes were tired. She doesn't. Then why did you look like that when she appeared? Silence. That pause again. Heavy. Uncomfortable. I should take Daniel home, I said. Lucas nodded once. That's a good idea. I stared at him. You're not even going to defend yourself? There's nothing to defend. That sounds like guilt. Lucas's eyes softened slightly. You don't trust me anyway. That's not the point. Isn't it? I hesitated. Daniel tugged my sleeve again. Mommy? I sighed. Fine. I turned to leave. But before walking away I said quietly, she called you dangerous. Lucas didn't respond. Are you? He looked at me. For a long moment. Then he said something that made my heart skip. I'm only dangerous to people who try to control my life. Silence. I studied him carefully. Good, I said. Lucas frowned slightly. Why? I met his gaze. Because nobody controls mine either. And despite everything that woman said, I knew one thing. I was coming back tomorrow. I want to marry you. For a second I thought I heard him wrong. I stared at Lucas. You're joking. I'm not. The words sat between us like something fragile and dangerous. The market had already closed. The bright stalls were dark. Only a few streetlights remained on. Daniel had fallen asleep earlier, and I had carried him to the small bench near Lucas's cart while he finished cleaning. Now Daniel slept beside me, his small hand still holding the wooden apple stick from earlier. Lucas sat on the other side of the bench. Quiet. Serious. I barely know you, I said. I know. You sell candy apples. Yes. And you think proposing marriage makes sense? Yes. I let out a short laugh. Not amused. More like disbelief. That's insane. Lucas didn't react. You can say no, he said calmly. Oh, I will. But the words didn't come out as strong as I wanted. Silence stretched. The market street felt strangely empty. Why? I asked finally. Lucas looked down at his hands. Then back at me. Because I want a simple life. That's your reason for marriage? Yes. I shook my head. Simple life with a stranger? You're not a stranger. I practically am. Lucas tilted his head slightly. I know you're strong. That's not a qualification for marriage. I know you protect your son. That's called being a parent. I know you refuse charity. Because I have pride. I know you don't trust easily. I froze. Lucas continued quietly. And I know you still show up every night anyway. My chest tightened. That doesn't mean anything. It means you're brave enough to try again. I looked away. You're reading too much into small things. Small things reveal truth. That sounds poetic. It's practical. I exhaled slowly. This is ridiculous. Lucas didn't argue. Maybe. Definitely. He nodded once. Still my question. I rubbed my forehead. Lucas, marriage isn't some small favor. I know. It's not something you offer someone after a few candy apples. I know. Then why ask? Lucas leaned back on the bench. For the first time he looked unsure. Not weak. Just human. Because I like who you are, he said quietly. That's not enough. It is for me. I studied him carefully. You don't know my past. I don't need to. It's messy. I believe you. My ex-husband left me with debt. Lucas didn't blink. I'm not afraid of debt. My life is unstable. I'm not afraid of instability. I come with a child. Lucas looked toward Daniel, sleeping peacefully. That's not a problem. He's my whole world. That's exactly why I respect you. I crossed my arms. You're making this sound too easy. It won't be easy. Then why do it? Lucas's answer came immediately. Because I want to build something real. Silence. A long one. The kind that forces honesty. You don't even know if I like you, I said. Lucas looked at me calmly. You keep coming back. That's because Daniel likes the apples. Not the only reason. I opened my mouth, then stopped. He wasn't wrong. Even if I liked you, I said slowly, marriage is different. How? It's risk. Lucas nodded. Yes. I already lost everything once. I know. You don't know how that feels. His eyes darkened slightly. Actually, he stopped himself. Actually what? Nothing. That sounded like something. Another conversation. I stared at him. You're mysterious. Only when necessary. That's not reassuring. Lucas reached into the pocket of his jacket. My stomach tightened slightly. But instead of a ring box, he pulled out something else. A simple metal ring. Plain. Silver. No diamonds. No decoration. I bought this yesterday, he said. I blinked. You were serious. Yes. I took the ring carefully. It was surprisingly warm. You planned this? Yes. That's bold. I prefer honest risks. Daniel shifted slightly in his sleep. I looked down at him. My heart softened. Lucas spoke again. I'm not offering luxury. I didn't ask for luxury. I'm offering stability. That's what everyone promises. I know. That's what my ex-husband said too. Lucas nodded slowly. I can't erase that. Exactly. But I can prove something different. How? By showing up every day. Silence again. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Real. Why me? I whispered. Lucas looked at Daniel. Then back at me. Because you didn't treat me like I was invisible. That's because you weren't. He shook his head slightly. Most people see a vendor. I see a man working hard. Exactly. I held the ring between my fingers. This feels crazy. Most real decisions do. If I say yes, my family will think I've lost my mind. Probably. My friends will laugh. Probably. People will say I married a candy apple vendor out of desperation. Lucas shrugged. People always talk. You make it sound easy. It's not. Then why are you so calm? Lucas met my eyes. Because I'm not afraid of choosing you. That sentence hit harder than I expected. No hesitation. No doubt. Just quiet certainty. My chest tightened. I should say no. Lucas nodded. That's reasonable. My life is already complicated. Yes. This could make it worse. Yes. And you're still asking? Yes. I stared at him. You're stubborn. Sometimes. Or crazy. Also possible. I looked at the ring again. Simple. But somehow honest. Daniel murmured in his sleep. Apple man. Lucas smiled faintly. See. I sighed. You're using my son to win the argument. I'm acknowledging reality. Another long silence. My mind raced. My heart argued. My fear screamed. But something else whispered quietly inside me. Hope. Dangerous. Fragile hope. I have rules, I said slowly. Lucas leaned forward slightly. Tell me. No lies. Agreed. No disappearing. Agreed. My son comes first. Of course. And if you ever hurt him. I won't. The certainty in his voice stopped me. I studied his face one last time. You're really serious? Yes. I closed my eyes briefly. Then whispered the word that changed everything. Yes. Lucas didn't celebrate. Didn't cheer. He just exhaled slowly. Like he had been holding his breath. I slipped the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly. That should have scared me more. But instead, a strange calm settled over me. Lucas spoke quietly. Thank you for trusting me. I looked at him. I didn't say I trust you. Not yet. Exactly. Lucas nodded. We'll build that. I stood up carefully, lifting Daniel into my arms. We should go home. Lucas nodded. I'll walk you. As we stepped away from the bench, I glanced back at the dark market. Something about tonight felt bigger than I understood. Like a door had just opened. And I had stepped through without knowing what waited on the other side. Lucas walked beside me in silence. The ring felt heavy on my finger. And somewhere deep inside me, a quiet voice whispered something unsettling. What if that woman was right? They think I've lost my mind. I whispered it to myself as I adjusted the simple white dress Lucas had insisted I wear. The wedding was held in a tiny chapel, barely decorated, with only a handful of friends and family. My mother shook her head. My brother smirked. Even my best friend, the one who had known me since childhood, stared with disbelief. "You're seriously marrying a candy apple vendor?" she asked, loud enough for the few attendees to hear. "Yes," I said, tightening my grip on Lucas's hand. Her laugh was sharp. "You deserve better." I wanted to shout, to throw her words back at her, but Lucas squeezed my hand. His calm presence steadied me in a way I couldn't explain. He looked at me like he believed in us, like nothing anyone else said mattered. "People will see," I whispered to him. "They can watch," he said softly. "We'll prove them wrong together." The ceremony passed quickly. Simple vows. No grandeur. No elaborate promises. Just two people hand in hand stepping into a life that no one thought could exist. My son beamed up at me, his eyes full of trust. That trust anchored me more than anything else. At first, the early days were peaceful. Too peaceful. The small apartment felt warm, filled with soft laughter and quiet routines. Lucas cooked simple meals, Daniel played with his toys, and I watched, astonished at how normal it felt to have someone beside me. Then the odd thing started. It began with cars. Expensive ones. SUVs I couldn't identify parked outside our street. They would stay for minutes, then leave silently. I noticed strangers greeting Lucas with unusual respect. Not casual hellos, but subtle bows, nods, careful attention. He never explained. He just smiled politely and moved on. Phone calls came next. Unknown numbers. Calls that Lucas answered and spoke in a language I didn't understand. One night, I heard him whisper sharply, "It's not her concern." My chest tightened with unease. "Lucas," I said quietly one evening while he washed dishes. "What's going on?" He didn't look up. "Nothing you need to worry about." I swallowed my rising fear. "Lucas, I've been married less than a week and I feel like I don't know anything about you." He finally looked at me. The calm I had relied on was still there, but a shadow flickered in his eyes. "I've always been this way." "Then why?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Why does it feel like we're living among secrets?" He didn't answer immediately. He rinsed a plate, his movements deliberate, silent. Finally he said softly, "Because life isn't as simple as candy apples and neither am I." I clenched my hands. "I trusted you. And I'm here," he said. "I never asked for your trust blindly. I wanted to earn it." But the unease gnawed at me. Expensive cars. Mysterious calls. Respect that felt out of place. A world I had never been part of, now brushing up against me. That night, I lay awake while Daniel slept soundly between us, his little breathing soft against the sheets. I stared at Lucas's sleeping profile, the faint curve of his jaw in the moonlight. He looked peaceful. Ordinary. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something enormous was hiding beneath that calm. I whispered into the darkness, barely audible, "Who are you really?" And for the first time since our marriage, Lucas didn't answer. The silence was heavy, filled with unspoken truths. I touched the ring on my finger and realized it was more than a promise of love. It was a doorway into a life I didn't yet understand. A life that might change everything. And I had no idea if I was ready. He lied to me. The words screamed in my head as I crouched behind the corner of the darkened street. Lucas had finished closing his cart at the market. I thought he was heading home. That had been the plan every night. I followed quietly, keeping to the shadows, my heart drumming with a mixture of curiosity and dread. But instead of turning toward our apartment, he walked straight into a building that gleamed with lights far too bright for this side of the city. Marble floors. Glass doors. A revolving entrance that spun silently, like a portal into another world. I froze. I thought I must be imagining it. Perhaps another man. Another coincidence. But then the doors opened and people emerged. People dressed in suits, polished shoes, confident strides. They didn't glance at him like a vendor. They bowed slightly. Their gestures were small, subtle, but unmistakable. Deference. Respect. Lucas stepped into the lobby. And then he turned. I didn't expect what I saw next. He was no longer the quiet, ordinary man I had married. His posture shifted, subtle but commanding. His movements had authority. People approached him with smiles, nods, and whispered words I couldn't hear. Gio. Billionaire. Master of a world I didn't know existed. My chest tightened. My stomach twisted. The ground seemed to vanish beneath me. No, this couldn't be real. I backed against the shadowed wall, trembling. Each step I'd taken toward trusting him now felt like a trap. My entire marriage, my heart, my son's trust. Everything had been built on a lie. A man in a dark suit approached Lucas, bowed slightly, and spoke. Lucas nodded once. The man left. Then another arrived, another bowed. Each one acted as if he were not merely wealthy but untouchable. Untouchable and unseen by the ordinary world I knew. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. But my legs refused to move. I watched him laugh quietly at something only the men around him could understand. His eyes, Lucas's eyes, sparkled with charm, intelligence, confidence. Not the gentle kindness I had fallen for. Had I been nothing more than a convenient part of some elaborate experiment? Some test of patience or trust? A pang of panic shot through me. My son, Daniel. He trusted this man completely. He had given his little heart away. And I had done the same. I pressed my hands to my mouth. My pulse pounded in my ears. Then Lucas turned toward the elevators. His expression softened briefly, almost human again. He didn't see me. He never would. I took a step back. This secret, this impossible truth, was bigger than I could handle. Bigger than any candy apple, any simple life I had imagined. I felt betrayal cut deeper than I had in years. My hands shook as I retraced my steps, slipping back into the shadows toward home. That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Daniel slept beside me, oblivious to the storm raging inside me. My chest ached. My mind refused rest. Lucas, the man I trusted, the man I had married, was not who he claimed to be. And I had no idea what dangers that truth might bring. Sleep never came. Only the echo of his polished world, and the terrifying realization that I had been living a lie I might never escape. The next day I would have to face him. And I didn't know if I could. You lied to me. The words ripped out of me before I could stop them. Lucas froze in the doorway, a bag slung over his shoulder, exhausted from a long day. He didn't speak. His silence was worse than any excuse. I followed you, I continued, my voice shaking. I saw where you went after the market. I saw the building, the people, the way they treated you. You're a billionaire. His face fell and I saw the hesitation there. The pause before the truth fell. I wanted to tell you, he said finally, carefully, like treading over glass. You wanted to tell me? I laughed bitterly. Do you know what it feels like to be humiliated like this? To have my family laugh at me, to have strangers pity me, to trust someone completely, and then discover you've been hiding the truth the entire time? Lucas stepped closer, hands open, but I stepped back instinctively. I didn't want you to feel unsafe around me, he said quietly. I disguised everything so I could live a life without people only wanting my money. I wanted to meet you, me, not my fortune. Not my fortune? I spat. Was I just another test? Another experiment? Another poor woman you could watch like some science project? He winced, real pain flashing in his eyes. No. I didn't know how to tell you. I swear, my heart. You swore a lot, didn't you? I interrupted, anger bubbling into hurt. I married you. I gave my heart. My son trusts you. And all along you were hiding behind a candy apple cart like some trap. Lucas's voice broke slightly. I didn't hide from you. I wanted to be chosen for me, not for my wealth. That was the only way I could be honest with you. Honest? My laugh was short, bitter. Honest is telling me the truth before I fall in love. Honest is not letting me live in some fantasy while you play billionaire behind closed doors. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Do you understand what this feels like? I whispered, voice trembling. Do you know the humiliation? The rage? The betrayal? I do, he said softly. I see it now. I see it and I'm sorry. More than anything. Sorry? I almost screamed. Sorry doesn't undo the weeks I've spent thinking we were building something real, ordinary, honest. Sorry doesn't erase the embarrassment, the pity, the doubt. He stepped closer again. I know. I can't undo it. But I never wanted to hurt you. I shook my head violently. Then why did you? Why hide it? Why not tell me the truth? Lucas's hands fell to his sides. Because I was afraid. Afraid you'd leave. Afraid you'd see me differently. And? I demanded, anger and tears colliding. Did you think I wouldn't? Did you think I'd be okay living a lie? His eyes filled with a raw human regret. I was wrong. I looked at him, the man I married, the one I thought I knew. The man who had been my safe place, my calm, my hope. The man who now felt like a stranger. I felt the old ache of betrayal from my past resurface. The humiliation. The anger. The exhaustion of trusting someone who breaks you. I can't, I whispered. Not now. Not after this. I can explain everything, he said, voice soft but firm. I don't want explanations. I shouted. I want the truth before I fall in love, not after. I trusted you. He reached for my hand, slowly, cautiously, but I pulled back. Lucas, I have to think, I said. I can't be fooled again. Not by anyone. Not by you. I turned toward the bedroom, my heart pounding, my chest tight. I packed my bags in silence, each fold of clothing heavier than the last. Each step felt like reclaiming a small piece of myself from the wreckage he had caused. Daniel stirred in his sleep. I kissed his forehead. Mommy has to go for a while, I whispered. His eyes barely opened, trusting, innocent. That trust was mine to protect. When I left that night, Lucas didn't follow. He didn't beg. He simply stood in the doorway, silent, regret written across his face. I didn't look back, because this time I would not be fooled. And I didn't know if I could ever forgive the man I had married. I can't believe I let him break me again. The words left my lips before I even realized I was speaking them aloud. Daniel tugged at my sleeve, his small hand warm against mine, oblivious to the storm inside me. I had packed our lives into the back of a beat-up car, leaving the city, leaving Lucas, leaving a world I had once thought was mine. It should have felt like freedom. Instead, it felt like tearing my own heart apart. Every mile away from him, I felt a pulse of grief that I couldn't quiet. We arrived in a town small enough that everyone smiled when they passed, and no one asked questions about my past. I rented a tiny shop, just enough space for a counter, a few tables, and a corner for Daniel to play safely. I pulled out old recipes I had learned from Lucas during our time together at the market. Simple desserts, candy apples, sweet rolls. I poured every ounce of my energy into the small space, shaping a life that was mine alone. At first it was lonely. Customers trickled in hesitantly, tasting my desserts with polite smiles. But slowly they returned. More and more. Their appreciation warmed me in a way I hadn't felt in years. I began to stand taller. Walk straighter. Speak with confidence instead of hesitation. I was independent. Strong. Proud. And yet, every night, when the shop closed and silence stretched around me, memories returned unbidden. Lucas's quiet patience. The way he treated Daniel like he was his own son. The small kindnesses that had melted my defenses. I shook my head violently, trying to force the thoughts away. I did the right thing, I whispered to the empty room. I left a man who lied to me. Who broke my trust. But doubt whispered anyway. Small, insidious, painful. Did I really leave because of the betrayal? Or because I was too scared to believe in him again? I poured a cup of coffee and stared out the window at the dim street lights, thinking about the nights we had shared, the quiet promises, the warmth I had let into my heart. The warmth that had been ripped away. Daniel slid next to me, tugging my hand. Mommy, will we be okay? I forced a smile, brushing his hair back. We'll be more than okay, baby. We'll be strong. But inside, I felt a fracture that no dessert, no independence, no small victories could heal. I knew I had chosen myself. I knew I had chosen Daniel. I knew I had rebuilt a life from the ruins. And yet, I couldn't stop imagining what it would have been like if Lucas had never lied. A life where the kindness he had shown wasn't a mask. A life where trust didn't end in betrayal. I shook the thought away, but the whisper lingered. A question I couldn't answer, a wound I couldn't ignore. Had leaving truly saved me, or had it only delayed the heartbreak that was far from over? I closed my eyes, pressing my forehead to the cool window pane, and for the first time in weeks, let myself shiver from the weight of a truth I wasn't ready to face. Because leaving him had been a choice. And choices, I was beginning to realize, carried consequences far beyond what I could see. I need to talk to you, she said, stepping into my tiny shop without hesitation. It was her, the elegant woman from the market. The one who had scowled at me like I was invisible, like I didn't belong in his world. Only now her hostility was gone. Her eyes were softer, almost urgent. Why are you here? I asked, clutching the counter, my voice trembling despite myself. She hesitated, then took a deep breath. Because you deserve to know the truth. About him. About everything. My heart thudded. I braced myself. You're not the reason he lied, she began carefully, like handling a fragile object. He wasn't trying to deceive you cruelly. I laughed bitterly. Then what? Why the act? Why the disguise? Because he's been through betrayals most people can't imagine, she said. Her voice was quiet but fierce. People in his life tried to use him, cheat him, destroy him. He wanted to find someone who would love him without knowing his wealth. Someone genuine. I felt my stomach twist. And I was, what? Part of some test? Her eyes softened. No, not at all. When he met you, he stopped the experiment. You're the only woman he ever truly trusted. The only woman he let in. I blinked, unable to speak. My mind swirled. Every memory, his quiet gestures, the way he treated Daniel, the late-night conversations. Everything suddenly had a weight I hadn't understood before. And after you left, she continued, he disappeared. From the company. From the world. He isolated himself completely. He's been waiting, in his own way. The words hit me like a knife. Waiting? For me? I staggered back, gripping the counter. You're saying, all this time he never wanted to hurt me? Never, she said, placing a hand over mine briefly. He loved you. He still does. But he couldn't reach you while you were gone. He respects your choice even if it's killing him. I sank into the chair behind the counter, my mind spinning. The betrayal, the anger, the humiliation. I had carried it like armor. And now, suddenly, the armor felt heavy, like it was crushing me from the inside. I left because I thought he was lying to me. Because I thought I couldn't trust him. My voice was raw. But now, she nodded. Now you know the truth. But knowing the truth doesn't erase the hurt. It only gives you the choice to forgive, or to walk away knowing everything. I closed my eyes, memories flooding back. The gentle way he fixed Daniel's toy, the quiet smiles, the evenings by the market. I had wanted to protect myself, to protect my son. But hearing this now, it felt like my heart had been stolen twice. Once by the lie I thought he told, and again by the love I didn't allow myself to believe. When I opened my eyes, she was gone. Just like that. Leaving me with the silence of the shop, the scent of sugar and caramel lingering in the air, and the truth I had never known. A truth that hurt more than betrayal ever could. And a question that refused to leave me. Could I find him again, before it was too late? I wasn't supposed to see the news. Not yet. Not after everything. The headline burned across my phone screen, Chaos at Harrow Industries, Billionaire CEO missing. My hands trembled and I dropped the phone onto the counter. My dessert shop felt suddenly too small, too quiet, too safe. Investors panicked. Executives were arguing on live streams. The company was unraveling without him. And somewhere deep in my chest, a small spark of something I hadn't expected flickered, fear. I tried to shake it off. It wasn't my problem anymore. I had built a life here. I had rebuilt myself. I had learned how to be strong. But strength doesn't shield you from the past. That's when she appeared. The woman from the market. The woman who had once hated me so fiercely her glare could have burned through steel. You're still here, she said, her voice soft but tense. Good. I need to talk to you. I felt my stomach knot. About what? About him, she said, glancing around before leaning in. He's waiting for you. He's been isolated, refusing to speak to anyone. He only listens to you. You're the only one who can reach him now. My heart slammed against my ribs. My breath caught. I had spent months building walls. I had learned to live without him. And now, suddenly, the world demanded I confront him again. Why me? I whispered. Why would he need me after everything? She shook her head. Because he loves you. Because he never stopped. Because you mattered more than his empire. You're the one who can bring him back. I sank onto a stool, my hands clutching my apron. I had fought so hard to protect my heart. I had survived betrayal, humiliation, and heartbreak. Returning to him felt like stepping onto a battlefield barefoot. I don't know if I can, I admitted, voice cracking. I can't risk my heart again. She reached out, touching my hand lightly. It's not about risking, it's about choosing. And he's waiting. Quietly. Patiently. But every day you wait, every day you hesitate, he's breaking inside, thinking you don't care. The shop suddenly felt like the center of the storm. The pastries, the sugar, the quiet clinking of the register, all of it became background noise to the pounding of my heart. Could I survive another confrontation? Another emotional collapse? Could I step back into his world and risk everything I had rebuilt? I closed my eyes, breathing deeply, trying to steady myself. The decision was mine. But for the first time I realized, karma wasn't coming for him. Karma had already begun. Quietly. And it had found me first. I opened my eyes and whispered to no one in particular, I have to decide. But I don't know if my heart can survive this again. And just like that, the quiet storm of fate began to turn, dragging us both toward a collision neither of us could escape. I never wanted you to see me like that. His voice hit me like a blade. Cold yet trembling. I froze in the doorway of my small apartment, my son playing quietly behind me, unaware of the storm in my chest. The man who had once been untouchable, confident, untamed, now stood there hollow-eyed, fragile. You lied to me, I said, my voice sharp but breaking. Everything. The company. The life. The fake candy apple vendor. Was I just an experiment? He flinched. For a moment I thought he might retreat, shield himself with arrogance. But he didn't. He stepped closer, hands trembling, eyes raw. I never meant to hurt you. The disguise, it wasn't for me. It was for us. For the only real connection I've ever had. I wanted to protect it. I wanted to laugh, cry, scream, all at once. My chest burned with humiliation. My heart, which I had armored for months, felt like it was unraveling thread by thread. You call that protection? I whispered. You humiliated me. You made me a fool. My family laughed at me. Strangers pitied me. And all this time, you were sitting in your office pretending to be a man who barely existed. He looked down, shame settling into his posture like a weight. I see that now. And I hate myself every day for it. I thought I was keeping you safe from people who would have used me, used you, but I didn't realize the damage I was doing. To you. To us. I wanted to scream, throw the plate in my hand, let my son see me crumble, but I stayed silent. Watching him, I realized this man, this billionaire, this secret keeper, was real in his regret. Not in his words. In the way his shoulders slumped, in the tremor of his hands, in the way he avoided my gaze yet couldn't leave. So, what now? I asked finally, my voice quieter than I expected. Do you expect me to forgive this? To just pick up where we left off? I don't expect anything, he said, and his voice cracked. I only hope, one day you can understand why. And maybe, if you let me, I can show you that my love, my care, was always genuine. Even through the lie. The room grew silent, thick with unspoken truths. My heart thudded painfully, caught between anger and something I didn't want to admit, longing. Something soft, tentative, dangerous, whispering of forgiveness. I looked at him. Saw the man I had loved, feared, and lost all at once. And despite every wall I had built, despite the months of pain, my chest ached in a way I couldn't ignore. I don't know if I can do this, I said finally. I don't know if I can trust you again. His eyes softened, and he took a careful step closer, daring to bridge the distance between us. Then don't. Not yet. But let me stay. Let me prove it to you. Slowly. I swallowed, trembling, heart both breaking and waking at the same time. The anger still simmered. The betrayal still stung. But beneath it, beneath the hurt, there was something else, fragile, trembling, dangerously alive. And I knew with a sharp, piercing clarity that this moment, this confrontation, was just the beginning. I can't believe you thought I was a fool. The words left my mouth before I could stop them, and the room seemed to shrink around us. He flinched just slightly, but I saw the fear in his eyes, the terror that I might walk away and never return. He started, but I cut him off. No, don't. Not this time. I need to say this first. My hands trembled, not with weakness, but with the weight of every betrayal I'd survived. Every lie I'd been forced to untangle. Every night I'd cried alone, wondering if I would ever trust someone again. I am not the woman I was when you left, I said, stepping closer, my voice steady but sharp. I have my own life, my own business, my own pride. Loving someone doesn't mean I will lose myself again. Do you understand? His eyes softened, flicking to my son, then back to me. I do. I see it now. I should have seen it sooner. And if we are going to try this, if we are going to rebuild anything, it has to be honest. No more disguises. No more secrets. No experiments. Just truth. He swallowed, and I could see the panic rising. His hands shook slightly at his sides, his posture tense. Yes. I can do that. I promise. Every word. I paused, letting the silence stretch. The months of doubt, the nights of sleepless reflection, the slow rebuilding of my own strength, they all converged in this moment. Could I trust him again? Could I risk my heart for someone who had once shattered it completely? I need to know, I whispered, that this isn't just words. That you won't hide behind some false version of yourself ever again. He nodded slowly, the raw regret etched across his face. No more lies. No more masks. I swear it. Only you, only truth, only us. I looked at him, searching for the man I had loved, feared, and hated. And I found him, not perfect, not flawless, but human. Vulnerable. Regretful. Desperate to make amends. I felt the anger simmer, still present, but it no longer ruled me. Beneath it, something tender and fragile began to stir. Hope. A dangerous, exhilarating hope that maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild together as equals. "I'm not leaving," I said finally, my voice firm, cutting through the lingering tension. "But this time, our future will be built as equals. No one hides. No one pretends. We start over. Together." He exhaled, a mixture of relief and awe flooding his features. For a moment, he looked as if he might collapse from the weight of my words. Then he reached out, slowly, reverently, and took my hand. The warmth of his touch didn't erase the scars. It didn't erase the months of pain or the betrayal. But it felt like a promise, fragile, unsteady, but real. And in that moment, standing before him, I realized the truth I had carried through every heartbreak. I was strong enough to love, strong enough to forgive, strong enough to build a life where honesty mattered more than fear. I squeezed his hand, meeting his gaze, and whispered, "Then let's begin." For the first time in a long time, the future felt like mine. And this time I would step into it as myself, unafraid, unbroken, and fully alive.